The morning of Thursday, December 14th, 2017, I woke up like most other days. A wife to a devilishly handsome fireman named Corey, and a mother to a beautiful 2-year-old pixie named Evie. I was about 20 weeks pregnant with our second baby girl and battling perpetual morning sickness. Something was different about this particular morning, however. Instead of getting out of bed, I turned on a sermon and opened my Bible to follow along. This was very much out of character for me. First, I would only listen to sermons at night and would never open my Bible, strictly out of intimidation. This morning was different. I flipped through the pages to follow along with Bethel Church to Psalm 16. Psalm 16, in my interpretation, is reinforcing the idea that God is the way. Without him, we are lost. But what struck me most was Psalm 16:10. Because you will not abandon me to the grave, nor will you let your faithful one see decay. This was particularly significant because, you see, it was Corey's grandfather's 80th birthday. And he was dying from a long battle of cancer. So I thought that morning I was prompted to open my Bible to read these words for Grandma for the day Grandpa left us. Little did I know, in reality, it was for me. Because in just 1 hour from that moment, my life would never be the same. I grew up in Monterey, California, more specifically Carmel Valley, and most specifically on top of a mountain in Cachagua, overlooking the valley. I'm an only child, and I was not raised with much spiritual or religious guidance. And at 12 years old, I was invited to go to church camp with one of my girlfriends. I went, and my life was changed. It was when I learned about faith and about Jesus, and I gave my life to him. However, it's difficult to maintain your faith when you're surrounded by teens searching for their identity and no consistent structure. I began feeling like religion was just something for people to live for. I felt like I was the only one in this world that could make me happy, so I was on my own. Just one day after my 13th birthday, an arsonist set fire to my 10-acre property. I was the first one to see the 30-foot flames, and at that time didn't realize the devastation it can leave. I was the person that called 911, and fortunately there was a major forest fire happening in the Los Padres National Forest, and our home was spared. But what was not spared was the PTSD that came from that traumatic event. It was the first significant event that triggered a fear and anxiety that has plagued me ever since. At 16 years old, I started smoking marijuana, and I smoked it for the next 10 years. I'd like to note here this is not a substance abuse, addiction, intervention, and recovery story, in my opinion. I simply feel it's a notable piece of my story because for me, marijuana was used to escape. It was used to cover up and shield the fear, anxiety, and constant battle with purpose and self-worth that I was experiencing, which ultimately prolonged my healing and exacerbated the anxiety and depression I felt. On the outside, my life was good, worthy of being happy about. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in business management and put myself through beauty school and started a successful career in cosmetology. But on the inside, I was dying. I went through a string of relationships that left me empty and lost, one of which I seriously contemplated the purpose of life and my worth in being a part of this world. Fortunately, suicide was not my route, but unmonitored antidepressants for 7 years on top of the marijuana was. It wasn't until I finished cosmetology school and started at my first salon that life took a turn for the better. I was not anticipating this turn, but boy, am I glad I made it. My salon owner spent just over a year reminding me that God loves me and would always be waiting for me. It was this day I recommitted my life to the Lord that everything changed. It was then I realized there was nothing wrong to have something to live for. Right around that time, I met a devilishly handsome man. It was a chance meeting at the most unexpected place. If I had a few hours to stand before you, I'd tell you about the unbelievable love story we shared, but since that isn't the case, there are a few very special things you need to know. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. He provided me with the greatest gift of all, love. We loved one another completely. We allowed and enabled one another to be exactly who we are. He encouraged and motivated me to be the best version of myself. He never judged me. Rather, he helped me realize the marijuana and antidepressants weren't helping me. They were only holding me back from feeling. With that came weight loss. I struggled with my whole life, and truly, my best self. But most importantly, he helped me learn how to love me. We dated for just over a year. We got married, and 2 months later, I was pregnant. We purchased a home a year later. It was the life I had always dreamt of. But something was still amiss. After we had Evie, I would hold 4, 5, 6 jobs at a time because part of the anxiety I felt was needing to do something on a greater level than myself. I found myself in 2017 after I watched our furnace catch on fire with our daughter sleeping above. It reignited the anxiety and fear that I had 13 years before. And I found myself reading books like Tears to Triumph by Marianne Williamson, wondering why I felt so empty and without purpose when everything was good. I would listen to sermons and it prompted a deep spiritual awakening, as if it was preparation for the worst. On November 5th, one of Corey's colleagues, Ryan Mitchell, jumped off the Pine Valley Bridge, leaving behind a 3-year-old little boy. And it was that last time that Corey came home that I finally saw fear in his eyes, and I think it's because it put a tangible reality to what I struggled with into his life, giving him an example of the devastation that can leave in its wake. One month later, on December 4th, the Thomas Fire broke in Ventura County. And on December 5th, Corey left for Ventura. We all know the outcome of what happened to him. But that morning that I found out, he gave me 2 very, very specific gifts. The first was gratitude, which is really peculiar to say, but I'm so grateful for it. And it was when I asked if anyone else was hurt, and they told me no. That gratitude only grew, and I am the biggest believer that the more gratitude you give, the more you will have to be grateful for. The second was purpose. The other thing that happened the last time Corey was home was an anxiety attack focused around needing to do something on a greater level. And when I looked at Corey through the tears, I saw him dying because he knew he was right, that he couldn't give me that purpose here on this planet. And that if he left, he gave it to me. Because he gave me a platform to make a difference on a topic that I know so well about. So almost immediately after I lost my sweet husband, I started asking his colleagues that were there and have experienced that type of trauma, what kind of consistent maintenance do you have on an emotional and mental health level? And they basically laughed at me because there's nothing. These men and women in the first responder realm are told that they're machines, and if they can't mentally and emotionally handle it, then they don't belong. And I think that all of us in this room know that that is false. I started the foundation called the Iverson Foundation for Active Awareness, and it does just that, raise awareness that there is an epidemic with mental health within first responders. I hope to reduce the stigma and change the culture. So today, if you would pray with me, I pray and give thanks for our heroes. I pray they feel the love from so many that want nothing but safety and good health for them. I pray you soften their hearts. May you give them the courage to release and the strength to use their pain to help others. I pray for awareness and healing to come to them. I pray for the darkness to be brought to the light.